Today I'm going to share a little bit about a time I spent with one of the boys' mobile teams in Andhra Pradesh. And it was really a thrill for me to spend some time with these fellas. And I hope it's a real blessing to you all, because we pray for mobile teams and we pray for vehicles and equipment, and most of all we pray for fruit. And I know many people over the years have given generously towards equipping these mobile teams. And so this is the mobile team that I spent time with. And they're just a neat bunch of enthusiastic brothers. And thought I'd just introduce them to you. This is William. He's a team leader, and I've met him a number of times in the past as he's been involved with mobile teams for several years now, I think 4 or 5 years. Brother Shook is a driver, and he's also been involved with mobile teams for a few years too. So both those guys are veteran mobile team members. Brother Samuel, he's in charge of the literature of the team. And then we've got Vin. He's in charge of music. He's a wonderful singing guy, great voice, and so he's in charge of the music and the instruments and all that stuff. And then Bonus, he's the audio-visual guy, so he's the one that handles all the audio equipment and video projector and all that fun stuff. And then Raju, he's a team member, which means he's a jack of all trades. So he does a little bit of everything, and whatever's needed, he's right there. And then the final team member is Judo Jeep. He's in charge of transportation. But that's their vehicle. It's a relatively new Jeep. Definitely a workhorse out there in Andhra Pradesh. This is 5 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in the middle of Andhra Pradesh. These guys are up at 5 o'clock, 7 days a week, every week of the year, except for whenever they get a holiday. They stay at this church. They usually will spend a week with the pastor and live in the church. And this is their bedroom. And they're not all that enthusiastic about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. In fact, some of them almost like mummies in the morning. And you notice the nice cushiony mattress that they sleep on. And so their blankets are about the only thing that protect them from the cold, hard concrete and the mosquitoes. But the first thing these guys do when they get up is pray. And I was just so challenged, I guess, about the amount of time they spend in prayer. Everything they do is bathed in prayer. Now this is their bathroom, and this is where they get their water, take baths, and everything else in the morning. So it's not exactly 5-star accommodations, but at least they've got nice, clean Jesus well water to drink and brush their teeth and bathe with, so that's a real blessing. And then it's back to prayer again. And then Shook, he's a really top-notch dude with his Jeep. He really likes to keep this thing running good, and he's always checking the oil and making sure the battery's in good shape and the thing's clean. And then about 9 o'clock is when they hit the road. This is their first open-air meeting of the day. They're getting set up, trying to get their cranky generator to going in the morning. It wasn't too keen on getting up itself, and they had to really coax it to get it going that morning. This particular open-air meeting wasn't the best one. You know, people just weren't all that interested, and a few people took tracks, and it was just kind of a dud, really, as far as open-air meetings go. You can see how enthusiastic a lot of these guys are. The second open-air meeting went a whole lot better. It was just kind of like night and day, and so they kind of came alive with the crowds here, too. You know, and they do skits and sing songs and, you know, do magic shows, and, you know, they're a crazy bunch of guys, you know, what can you say? But everything they do has got some kind of gospel message. All their tricks and magic shows and songs all contain elements of the gospel message in it somehow or other. And it's also very entertaining to the people there. This particular case, the crowd just kept growing and growing and growing. Pretty soon the whole street was just filled with people. And there's a skit that they do that's kind of funny. It's about the trap of sin. And they've got this chair that's got a sign on it that says, "Don't touch." And so this guy comes walking by, and he sees the sign, and of course he can't resist the temptation, and so he touches it, and then he's stuck. And then all kinds of people come to show him how he can be free, from this sin. So he's basically trapped by sin. And then this witch doctor guy comes by and, does his pujas, but that doesn't get him, nothing frees him from the chair or the trap of sin until one of the missionaries comes by and shares the gospel with him and prays with him. And then he's finally able to get free of that chair. And then after the open air, they just spread throughout the crowd, handing out tracts, and quite a few people were taking them and reading them, and there was a whole lot more interest among the group there. And then they packed up and headed off to location number 3. It was just a typical village, you're setting up, a big herd of goats comes walking right through while you're trying to set up everything, and the goats didn't stick around for the meeting. It was really cool as they were singing and stuff. There's a school nearby, and so the kids could hear the missionaries, singing their songs and stuff, and they must have begged their teachers, because then the teachers finally let the school out. And so all of a sudden, there's just this stampede of kids just literally running, to come and sit down and see the meeting. And so they were just really wrapped with attention and just enjoying, the skits and the songs, and of course the brothers were just really playing to the crowd there. And anyway, the kids really had a great time, and millions of kids got tracts, and of course, as adults you kind of stand back and let the kids have the fun, but then after all the crowds moved, then they were asking questions, and they had a lot of opportunities to really, have some quality time to share with guys after that meeting. And then it's on the road again, and this is not quite I-35 here. Traffic in India can be interesting. You've got to dodge water buffalo and bicycles and auto rickshaws and people. And then what they did is they went to the village where they were going to do a film showing later on in the evening.